everyone, Jamieleigh from BirdTricks here, and today I have a special guest, Lauren McGough, and we are going to be talking about when eagles attack parrots and how to keep your free-flying parrots as safe as possible when it comes to these predatory birds. So I'm really excited because your background, I was able to read a bunch of interviews that you did online. I'll make sure to link to them in the video description, but really cool. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit of background so that they understand your perspective on eagles?
Sure. So I am a falconer. I've been one since 2001 when I was 14.
Wow.
I started off flying red-tailed hawks and peregrine falcons, but I quickly realized that my real love was golden eagles. And of course, golden eagle falconry is one of the most ancient human-animal partnerships. So it began back in Central Asia some 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, hunting foxes off horseback with these huge golden eagles. And I was really lucky. I spent 2 years living out in Mongolia, apprenticing myself to the Kazakh masters there. And gosh, it's been one of the most fulfilling things in my life, and now I'm able to take what I learned in Central Asia, bring it back here to the US, and I use falconry to rehabilitate golden eagles that need to learn how to hunt before they can be released back into the wild.
That's so cool. So cool. Okay, so this video and the whole premise of what I really want people to learn is we're trying to make the practice of free-flying parrots outside just overall safer, because obviously they aren't native to the places that we are free-flying them in, and we need to understand more about predatory birds to keep our birds safe. So what is the natural prey of eagles?
So eagles here in the US especially are mostly specialized to hunt black-tailed jackrabbits or white-tailed jackrabbits, but rabbit species. However, they are very opportunistic.
Okay. And
they like an easy meal, whether it might be a dead deer on the side of the road, they're happy to eat that, or I could see an eagle that if it saw a parrot that was busy on the ground not paying attention, thinking, oh, that could be an easy meal also.
Okay, so they'll still go for something even if they've maybe never seen it in their habitat. They might still recognize that as edible prey.
Yes. It's a good survival tactic that they have, that if an opportunity looks like easy, they're inherently lazy, which I identify with, with eagles, then they'll give it a shot.
Okay, so the likelihood of them going for a parrot is pretty high if the opportunity is in their favor.
Yes, but there's easy things to mitigate it. So eagles are very conspicuous. And if you were flying your parrot in the western US, I would simply, so falconers that fly falcons also have the same fear, because an eagle will opportunistically attack a falcon. So I would simply look around. Are they soaring overhead? Is there a huge bird perched in a tree nearby? Luckily, also, your presence as a human is a big deterrent.
Okay.
So the parrot would have to get a fair distance away from you. Mm-hmm. But just a quick scan of everything around is very useful.
Okay, that was actually one of my other questions of, in a worst case scenario where an eagle has initiated a chase on a parrot, what is the best option for the parrot to take? Should it land in a tree for safety? Should it go low? Should it go high? Or should it just get back to the human as fast as possible in the most likelihood scenario of actually surviving that sort of chase?
Oh man, that's a great question. So like I said, the eagle wants the easy opportunity. Mm-hmm. So if the parrot came back towards you, then you're the deterrent.
Yeah.
Eagle would be put off by that. And I think the most danger is in the initial attempt.
Yeah.
And so if the eagle misses initially and the parrot either books it or takes refuge in a tree or some kind of cover, then the eagle's like, it's harder than I thought. I'm gonna go back in my soar and find something else.
Okay, so that's good to know. Okay. So one of the questions I have that I think will apply to a lot of free flyers is what kind of terrains should we be scouting and looking to fly our birds at that are less likely to have golden eagles checking them out too?
Yeah, so this is a great question. I know you guys like to fly in Moab.
Yeah.
Moab can be useful because there is a big human presence there. There's that deterrent where eagles realize, oh, this is where the people hang out. I'll be on the outskirts, but I don't really want to get right in Moab. So finding that fine line between some human presence, but you don't want to be, I don't like being where there's too many people.
Same. Unless I've invited them.
In the middle of, so that's a big part of it. If you're in the middle of nowhere, you're more likely to encounter eagles. But again, they are conspicuous. They're not going to come out of nowhere. So eagles also, their main way to get around is soaring and thermaling. Okay. So you're a big-bodied eagle, it takes a lot of work to fly. So if it's in the morning or the evening, and especially if the air is cold and still, it would take a lot of work for you as an eagle to fly around.
Interesting.
So that's good for flying your parrots, because one's not just going to come bombing in from 10 miles away. Now, in the middle of the day, most eagles are soaring quite high and looking down at everything. So that's when they're the most mobile. Falconers call it eagle o'clock, like 10 o'clock when all the eagle highways open up.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing to keep in mind. If you're flying midday, if it's windy, if it's warm, there's going to be a lot of raptors just out riding the wind.
Okay.
So you want to be aware. Now, because eagles are soaring a lot, like I said, you'll often see them, and it would take them a long time to get out of their soar to you. So what I would do personally is make yourself very known. So shout, wave your arms, and that in itself would convince an eagle, oh, okay, I'm going to mosey on over here. There's something weird there making a lot of noise. Yeah.
Okay. I guess another one of my questions is, a lot of the time we hear falconers talk about like, oh, there's golden eagle nests on that hill or that cliffside, or usually kind of mountaintop-esque is the feeling that I get, yet I see them mostly hunting in open like farm fields and valleys where I'm assuming that they're looking for ground rodents sort of things. Which one is more dangerous? Is it more dangerous to fly near the hills, or is it more dangerous to fly in the open valley?
Yeah, so hills, this is true. They're going to nest in hills, mountains, places that can elevate them. And the hill also represents, like I said, eagles. It's hard to move your big body, a way for them to get up and get some height.
Okay.
So on a windy day, they'll go to the hill, get up high, catch a thermal, and then start soaring out above the open ground, above the valleys.
Okay.
So the hills are like their home base, and then when conditions are good, they come out into the open.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, so most likely if we flew near hills where there happened to be a nest but we were unaware, would it be more likely that we would get a chase that's a bit more territorial, or is it more likely that we probably wouldn't see them because they only go visit there at certain times when they either need to feed their young or roosting or that sort of thing? Like, would a majority of their time be spent away from their home?
Yeah, so eagles are very divide and conquer. One will, which is good, one will incubate the eggs or tend to the chicks, and the other one will go out hunting. So you have a bit of both, but I think, this is a good question.
They sound about equal because of that.
Yeah, I think they would make themselves known, and then it would be good for you to relocate. They might initially be interested in, oh, it's my territory, I'm going to scare this out of here. And then if you stayed too long, they might be like, it might be good food for my chicks.
Yeah, okay. That's kind of what I was thinking as well. As far as size of parrots, how likely are they to eat based on size? So my thought process, and I don't know if this translates to eagles, which is what I'm curious about. We fly little sun conures that are like 100 grams. My thought process with that is like, why go for something so little with so little meat? Is that really worth it? Or do they think of it differently versus a medium-sized African gray or Galah that's more pigeon size? It's between 300 and 400 grams. To me, that seems like something they would be more likely to go for. And then we have our large macaws, which we hope are more deterring because it's like maybe they would get injured in that process. Possibly they would weigh the risks of going for something that large that's around 1,000 grams. What do you think the likelihood is of each of those?
Yes. So I agree with the small birds, especially the conures. A few hundred grams, I think an eagle would think it's not worth its time.
Okay.
And eagles, they're agile for something big, but they're not that agile.
Okay.
So anything small like that would really require a lot of maneuvering, you don't have to worry about, I wouldn't say, with eagles. However, I think the risk goes up as the bird gets bigger, and I think they would find the biggest birds like macaws very appealing.
Because there's a bigger payoff. When
Bigger
they catch
payoff, they would think they're not as maneuverable, and eagles aren't easily intimidated. We have records of them catching foxes and coyotes, and so...
Okay, so their risk assessment is like, yeah, probably not going to hurt me.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, darn.
But for everything except an eagle, I would think there would be a big intimidation factor for hawks, for falcons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where they're more of the same size.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. So another question is when for us to be seasonally aware. So their breeding season, their nesting seasons, when is it more likely that they're going to be out and checking things out? When is it more likely that young juveniles are going to be more willing to just, go for something different? What would you recommend to a free flyer of like, hey, you should stay within these limitations just as a safety guideline?
It's very important and perceptive. So eagles typically lay their eggs in March, and the eggs hatch in May. So I would say they're courting and nest building late January, February. So from that point on, they're mating or thinking about it. So lay eggs in March, hatch in May. Once they hatch, the eagles, of course, also feel a big pressure to hunt and feed their young. And so that will make them more likely to try new things predatorily. And then the eagles hatch May, grow June, July, typically August they fledge.
Okay.
And again, same sort of thing. Even though they've fledged, it takes them a long time to figure out how to hunt. So the parents will help them, help teach them how to hunt. Maybe it's actually very cool to see. They might bring, say, a pigeon that the eagle might bring a pigeon that it's caught overhead and then drop it, and the young eagle can practice catching it and so
playing with their food.
Yeah.
Literally.
But especially after September, they're all on their own, back to their solitary lives. So it does make for a conundrum, so it's good to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Winter's your least worry, but then it's cold in winter. And
Yeah, not so much fun.
That's awesome because we fly in Moab in April, so they're on eggs.
Yeah.
And usually September, October when they're done with the juvenile side, and it's like
Yeah, we never
everything
find
you said, I'm like, oh, no wonder we've never had.
We're doing it right.
Yeah.
Got this. So I guess that's another question that I have. When do they hunt together versus solo?
Yeah, so really cool animals. It makes it wonderful to bond to them as a falconer because they'll transfer this willingness to hunt with you, how they hunt with each other with you. So mated pairs, bonded pairs, will hunt together, and they'll stay bonded together for as long as they both are alive.
Shall live.
Yeah, so if one dies, they'll go find another mate, which they should. But so it can be years-long teamwork, and it's quite cool to see. One eagle might take the role of trying to flush a jackrabbit that's hiding, just get it to run, while the other eagle is waiting overhead and then will come down and make the attempt to actually catch it.
Oh, wow.
And then young birds that have just fledged might stay together for a little while
Okay.
Especially, so females tend to develop slower because they're bigger, they mature a little slower. So it's not uncommon for a young female to maybe glom on to her brother,
Okay.
who's figured out hunting faster and then wants to get in on everything that he catches.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you'll see a little bit of that.
Okay.
Ultimately, though, they're very solitary most of the time.
Okay, so it's kind of that sibling dynamic and then the pair dynamic. And other than that, they're going solo.
Yes.
Okay. So what I've come to learn, especially just getting a glimpse at falconry, I always thought hawks and falcons of all sorts were at the top. And then I learned that eagles are at the top of them. Is there anything that is a threat to an eagle? Like, is it another
Ooh,
eagle?
threat.
Is it, I don't know, anything? Do they have to worry about anything?
Teenagers with a shotgun.
Well, this is, actually, this is true. Eagles, there is a problem with people shooting eagles still. It's shocking to me. So I would say the main dangers to wild eagles, shooting, electrocution, landing on power poles,
Okay.
wind turbines. They can't anticipate how quickly the blades move, and they soar so much that they're always covering much ground around where it's a good place to put up wind turbines. When I fly my eagles, I have to be cognizant of the territories of other eagles because they'll get into territorial disputes.
Oh.
And I have to respect the eagles that were there first,
Yeah.
give them their space. And then I would say when they're hunting, individual golden eagles have different levels of what they're willing to hunt. I mentioned some will try to catch coyotes, which it is something they do, but they also recognize that it's dangerous.
Yeah.
And so that would be the other danger. If you're a very gutsy eagle and you're trying to catch big things, like the lion catching the wildebeest, you put yourself in danger in that way.
Yeah.
But as far as predation, that is a nice thing that I don't have to worry about anything trying to eat my eagle.
That is nice. I guess, so the last question that I want to end on this part of the video is what classifies an eagle as an eagle?
Oh yes, very arbitrary. It's true, yeah. Gosh, because there's eagles, there's hawk eagles,
It gets a little confusing.
it's confusing. Snake eagles, buzzard eagles, eagle owls.
Yeah.
Those are definitely owls. But yeah, so for what we call true eagles would be aquila eagle. So eagles with the scientific name that starts with aquila. So our golden eagles, Aquila crisatus. But that is characterized by feathers going all the way down their feet. So most hawks and falcons, they have bare legs. You'll see all the scales.
Okay.
But an eagle, next time you're up close to a golden eagle, you notice that there's feathers all the way down. But gosh, so that's the true eagles. But then there's sea eagle. So bald eagles do not have that.
Oh.
So it's very arbitrary. We tend to just make it anything that's a really big bird, big predatory bird.
Yeah.
But biologists could talk all day about what actually makes an eagle an eagle.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize it was going to be that complicated.
The whole thing.
We'll just let that one go. Well, thank you so much. We're going to pick up on this conversation in part 2 of this video, so make sure that you check out part 2.